Can you take her instead of me?" The words came from a child, 5 years old, maybe younger. Her voice was small, but it cut through the noise of the livestock market like a knife through canvas. Bo Ryland stopped walking. He had come to the edge of town for leather straps and nails. Nothing more. He didn't come here for the pens. He didn't come here for the women tied to posts like cattle waiting for slaughter. He didn't come here for any of this. But the little girl's hand was on his coat now. Tiny fingers, dirt under the nails, gripping the wool like it was the only thing holding her to the earth. "Please," she whispered. "Take my mama, not me, just her." Bo looked down. The child's face was streaked with dust and tears. Her dress was torn at the hem. Her feet bare and blistered. Her eyes, dark brown and wide, stared up at him with a kind of desperation he hadn't seen since the war. He followed her gaze. There, slumped against a wooden post in the livestock pen, was a woman. Her wrists were bound with rope, her head bowed, her body limp, blood crusted at the corner of her mouth. Her dress was torn, her shoulders bare to the sun. She didn't move, didn't breathe loud enough to be noticed. Bo's jaw tightened. "She hasn't eaten," the child said, voice shaking. "I gave her my bread. All of it, 2 days now. Please. They said if no one buys her today, they'll take her away, somewhere bad." Bo crouched slowly, knees cracking. His shadow fell over the girl's face and she blinked up at him like he was something holy. "What's your name?" he asked. "Rosita." "And your mama?" "Lena." Bo looked back at the woman. Her chest rose and fell, barely. The rope around her wrists had rubbed the skin raw. Her feet were bare, covered in dried blood and dust. She was dying, slowly, quietly. "Please," Rosita said again. "Just take her." Bo stood. He didn't speak. He walked toward the pen, boots heavy in the dirt. The slaver, a man with a stained hat and a belly too large for his belt, leaned back in his chair and grinned. "You looking to make a purchase, mister?" Bo didn't answer. He pulled a leather pouch from his coat and dropped it on the table. Gold coins spilled out, clinking against the wood. "I'll take both," Bo said. The slaver's grin widened. "Both?" Bo nodded toward Rosita. "Girl comes too." The man leaned forward, counting the coins. "Well now, you just bought yourself a whole mess of trouble, cowboy." Bo looked down at the unconscious woman, then at Rosita still standing behind him. "I've had worse." He cut Lena down from the post. Her body was light, too light. He lifted her over his shoulder like a sack of grain and turned toward his wagon. Rosita followed without a word, her small hand clutching the edge of his coat. Not a soul spoke as they passed. But somewhere in the silence, as Bo carried them away from the pens, Rosita whispered against his collar, "Thank you for taking both." Bo didn't answer, but he held them tighter. The ride back to Bo's ranch was long. Rosita sat pressed against his side, her tiny hands clenched around his shirt. Lena lay slumped across the saddle blanket behind them, tied down gently so she wouldn't fall. She hadn't stirred since he lifted her at the market. The sun was setting by the time they reached the ranch. The house sat alone on the plain, surrounded by cottonwoods and dust. No neighbors, no visitors. That was how Bo liked it. Until today. He carried Lena inside and laid her on the bed in the small bedroom. The room had been untouched for years. It still smelled faintly of lavender and old wood. A child's wooden toys sat on the windowsill. A pair of scuffed shoes lay beneath the bed. Bo straightened her limbs, pulled the quilt up, then turned to the hearth. Rosita stood quietly at the doorway, eyes wide. "She's burning," she said softly, touching her forehead. Bo nodded. "We'll get that down." He boiled water on the stove and brought out the tin of willow bark. He crushed it, mixed it with a little molasses, and coaxed Rosita to help. Together they worked. He cleaned the cuts on Lena's wrists, wrapped them in clean cloth. Her shoulder had a deep bruise and the skin on her back was mottled from days in the sun. He dabbed salve on cracked lips, soaked a rag and gently pressed it against her temple. Rosita took the cloth after that. She climbed onto the bed, kneeling beside her mother, and began to wipe her forehead the way Bo had shown her. "Mama," she whispered. "Mama, wake up. I'm here." Bo stepped back, leaning against the door frame. He hadn't seen this room lit by candlelight in years. Now it glowed again, with effort, with care, with the quiet hum of someone wanting to live. That night Rosita slept curled up at the foot of the bed, Bo stayed near the doorway, dozing in a chair with his boots still on, one hand resting on the rifle balanced across his lap. For 2 days, Lena didn't move. On the third morning, Bo was changing the cloth on her wrist when he felt her flinch. Not much, just a twitch of the fingers. Then a groan. Her eyelids fluttered open. They were dark brown, sharp, afraid. Bo froze. "It's all right," he said quietly. "You're safe now." Lena struggled to sit up. Pain flared in her side. She gasped, her hand flying to the bruised ribs. "Don't." Bo stepped forward but stopped when her eyes locked on his. Feral, ready to run. Even from a bed. "Where's Rosita?" she rasped, voice dry as sand. A small bundle shot forward from the corner of the room. "Mama!" Rosita launched herself into the bed, wrapping her arms tight around Lena's neck. Lena gasped again. Not from pain this time. From relief. Her arms curled around the girl, holding her so tight they both trembled. Bo backed away, giving them the space they needed. In the kitchen, he sat at the table, staring down at his hands. They were nicked and dirt-stained, built for fencing and branding, not for bandages and soup ladles. But for 3 days they had done something different, and in the quiet beyond the wall he heard it. A mother's sob. A daughter's giggle. 2 sounds he hadn't heard in years. And though he would never say it aloud, something old inside him shifted. Not healed. Not yet. But stirring. The morning came quiet and slow. Light spilled across the windowsill, soft and golden. Lena woke to the sound of a pot clanging in the kitchen and the smell of something burning. She sat up slowly, wincing. Her ribs still ached. Her wrists were wrapped in clean cloth. She looked around the room. The toys on the windowsill. The small shoes beneath the bed. The framed photograph on the nightstand. A little girl with missing front teeth, holding a lamb in her arms. Lena's chest tightened. She stood carefully, wrapping the quilt around her shoulders, and stepped into the hallway. The floor creaked beneath her bare feet. Each step sent a dull ache through her body, but she kept moving. She needed to see them. Needed to know this was real. In the kitchen, Bo stood at the stove, stirring something in a cast-iron pot. Smoke curled from the edges. He muttered under his breath, then poured water over the mess. The hiss of steam filled the air. Rosita sat at the table, legs swinging, giggling softly. "Papa's burning breakfast again," she whispered when she saw Lena. Lena froze in the doorway, her breath caught. "Papa." The word hung in the air like a hymn. Bo turned, spatula in hand. His eyes met hers. For a moment neither spoke. He looked tired, his hair uncombed, his shirt wrinkled, but his gaze was steady, kind. "You're up," he said finally. Lena nodded. "I am." He gestured toward the table. "Sit. I'll make something that won't kill you." Lena walked slowly to the table and sat beside Rosita. The little girl immediately climbed into her lap, wrapping her arms around her mother's neck. Her small body was warm and solid. "Real." "I thought you were gone," Rosita whispered. Lena held her tight. "I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." Bo set a plate in front of her. Eggs, slightly burnt. Bread, hard at the edges. Coffee, strong and bitter. It was the best meal she'd had in months. "Thank you," she said softly. Bo only nodded. He poured himself a cup of coffee and sat across from them, hands wrapped around the mug. He didn't speak, just watched them with quiet eyes. After breakfast, Lena stood and began to clear the plates. Bo tried to stop her, but she shook her head. "I need to do something," she said. "Please." He stepped back, watching as she moved carefully around the kitchen. She washed the plates in the basin, scrubbed the pot, wiped down the table. Her hands moved with quiet purpose. Every movement was deliberate, as if reclaiming something she thought she'd lost. Rosita followed her everywhere, holding the edge of her skirt like she might disappear again. That afternoon, Bo stepped outside to mend the fence. The wood was rotting in places, the nails rusted. He pulled them out one by one, replacing them with fresh timber. The sun beat down on his back and sweat soaked through his shirt. Lena came to the doorway, watching him work. His sleeves were rolled up, his movements steady and sure. There was something calming about the rhythm of his labor, the sound of the hammer, the creak of wood settling into place. "You didn't have to buy me," she said quietly. Bo didn't look up. "I know." "Then why did you?" He set down the hammer and turned to face her. Because no one else would. Lena swallowed hard. And Rosita? She asked me to save you. Bo said. Not herself, just you. Lena's eyes filled with tears. She looked down at her hands, at the scars on her wrists. The rope burns were still red, still raw, a reminder of everything she'd survived. I don't know how to repay you, she whispered. Bo stepped closer. You don't owe me anything. But I do. No, Bo said firmly. You're free, you and Rosita both. You can leave any time you want. I won't stop you. Lena looked up at him, searching his face. His jaw was set, his eyes steady. He meant every word. And if I stay? She asked. Bo held her gaze. Then you stay. The words were simple, but they carried weight. Promise. Safety. That night after Rosita had fallen asleep, Lena sat on the porch steps, staring out at the dark plains. The wind was cool, carrying the scent of sage and dust. The stars above were bright, scattered across the sky like spilled salt. Bo came out and sat beside her. He didn't speak, just sat there, quiet and still. His presence was solid, comforting. After a long moment, Lena said, I was taken from my home in Sonora. 3 men, they said they'd give me work in Texas. I believed them. Bo listened, his eyes fixed on the horizon. They tied me up the first night, she continued. Beat me when I tried to run, sold me to a man who locked me in a cellar for weeks. I lost track of time, lost track of everything. Her voice cracked. Rosita was with me the whole time. She saw everything. She held my hand in the dark. She sang to me when I couldn't speak. Bo's jaw tightened. She's safe now. Because of you. Because she asked, Bo said. And I couldn't say no. Lena wiped her eyes. Who was she? She asked, nodding toward the house. The girl in the photograph. Bo was quiet for a long time. Then he said, her name was Clara, my daughter. What happened? Fever took her. Bo said. 3 years ago. My wife too. Mary held Clara until the end. Then she just stopped breathing, like she couldn't live without her. Lena's heart ached. I'm sorry. Bo nodded. Me too. They sat in silence, 2 broken souls under a sky full of stars. The wind whispered through the grass. Somewhere in the distance, a coyote howled. And for the first time in a long time, neither of them felt alone. Inside the house, Rosita stirred in her sleep. She reached out for her mother, felt the empty space beside her, and woke with a start. She climbed out of bed and padded to the door. Through the window she saw them, her mama and the man who had saved them both, sitting side by side, not touching, but together. Rosita smiled and crawled back into bed, clutching the wooden lamb Bo had carved for her. The next morning, Lena woke to the sound of hammering. She stepped outside and found Bo reinforcing the barn door. Rosita was beside him, holding nails in her small hands, her tongue peeking out in concentration. Can I help? Lena asked. Bo looked up. You sure you're strong enough? I'm stronger than I look. He handed her a plank of wood. Together they worked. Rosita passed nails. Lena held the boards steady. Bo hammered them into place. The rhythm of their work was steady, almost musical. It was simple work. Quiet work. But it felt like something more, like building something that mattered. When they finished, Bo stepped back and wiped the sweat from his brow. Not bad. Lena smiled. Not bad at all. That afternoon, as the sun dipped low, Rosita ran through the tall grass chasing a butterfly. Her laughter echoed across the plains, bright and pure. Lena watched from the porch, her heart full. Bo stood beside her. She's happy. She is, Lena said softly. Thanks to you. Bo shook his head. Thanks to her, she's the one who saved you. Lena looked at him. No, you both did. Their eyes met. And in that moment, something passed between them. Something neither could name, but both could feel. Trust. That night, as Rosita slept, Lena found Bo sitting by the fire. She sat down beside him, close but not touching. The flames crackled softly, casting dancing shadows on the walls. I want to stay, she said quietly. Bo looked at her. You sure? I'm sure. He nodded. Then stay. And for the first time since she'd been taken, Lena felt something she thought she'd lost forever. Hope. The days that followed settled into a rhythm. Lena woke before dawn, before the sun touched the horizon. She would stand in the doorway watching the land wake. The air was cool and clean, carrying the scent of earth and wildflowers. She began to help with the chores. Bo tried to stop her at first, but she insisted. She fed the chickens, gathered eggs, swept the porch. Her body still ached, but the work felt good. It felt like reclaiming herself. Rosita was never far behind. She followed her mother everywhere, chattering in Spanish and broken English. She talked about the butterflies, the clouds, the way the grass moved in the wind. Bo watched them from a distance. He didn't say much, but his presence was constant. He fixed the roof where it leaked. He carved a wooden horse for Rosita. He left fresh water by the door every morning. One afternoon, Lena found him in the barn, mending a saddle. The leather was worn, the stitching frayed. His hands moved with practiced ease. "Can I ask you something?" Lena said. Bo looked up. "Go ahead." "Why do you live out here alone?" He set down the needle and thread. "Easier that way." "Easier than what?" "Than remembering," Bo said. "Town's full of people who knew Mary and Clara. Every face is a reminder of what I lost." Lena stepped closer. "But you're still here, still working, still living." "I'm breathing," Bo said. "That's not the same as living." "Then what is?" He looked at her, his eyes shadowed by grief. "I don't know anymore." Lena reached out and placed her hand on his. "Maybe you'll remember." Bo stared at their hands. Hers was small and scarred. His was rough and calloused, but they fit together. He didn't pull away. That night as the stars came out, Rosita asked to sleep outside. Bo set up a blanket under the cottonwood tree, and the three of them lay side by side, staring up at the sky. "Mama," Rosita whispered, "are we home now?" Lena's throat tightened. She looked at Bo, who was staring up at the stars. "Yes, Mia," Lena said softly. "I think we are." Rosita sighed happily and curled closer to her mother. Within minutes she was asleep. Bo turned his head, looking at Lena. She was still staring up at the sky, tears glistening on her cheeks. "You all right?" he asked. Lena nodded. "I never thought I'd feel safe again." "You are," Bo said. "I promise." Lena looked at him. "Why do you care so much?" Bo was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "Because I know what it's like to lose everything, and I know what it's like to have nothing left to fight for." "And now?" Lena asked. Bo looked at Rosita, then back at Lena. "Now I have something." The words hung in the air between them. Lena reached out and took his hand. This time he squeezed back. The next morning, Bo rode into town for supplies. Lena stayed behind with Rosita, working in the garden. She pulled weeds, watered the plants, hummed softly to herself. Rosita played nearby, digging in the dirt with a stick. "Mama, look," she called, holding up a smooth white stone. "It's beautiful," Lena said, smiling. Rosita ran over and placed the stone in her mother's hand. "For you." Lena's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you, Mia." She tucked the stone into her pocket. A small treasure. A reminder that even in the darkest places, beauty could still be found. When Bo returned that afternoon, he was carrying a bundle wrapped in brown paper. He handed it to Lena without a word. She unwrapped it carefully. Inside was a dress, simple but clean, made of soft blue cotton. "I thought you might need something that fits," Bo said, looking uncomfortable. Lena held the dress to her chest. "Thank you." "It's nothing." "It's not nothing," Lena said. "It's everything." That evening she wore the dress for the first time. It was a little loose, but it felt like hope, like a new beginning. Rosita clapped her hands when she saw her. "You're so pretty, Mama." Lena laughed, spinning around. "You think so?" "I know so." Bo watched from the doorway, his expression unreadable. But when Lena caught his eye, he nodded once, and she saw it. Approval. Maybe even admiration. That night, after Rosita had fallen asleep, Lena and Bo sat by the fire. The flames crackled softly, casting warm light across the room. "I don't know how to thank you," Lena said. "You already have," Bo replied. "How?" "By staying." Lena looked at him. "Is that enough?" Bo met her gaze. "It's more than enough." The silence between them was comfortable now, no longer filled with fear or uncertainty, just peace. The following week a storm rolled in. Dark clouds gathered on the horizon and the wind picked up, howling across the plains. Bo secured the barn, tied down the loose boards, brought the animals inside. We need to get inside, he told Lena and Rosita. They huddled in the house as the storm hit. Rain pounded against the roof and thunder shook the walls. Rosita clung to her mother, eyes wide with fear. It's all right, Lena whispered, holding her close. We're safe. But the storm didn't ease. It grew stronger. The wind tore at the shutters, and water began to leak through the roof. Bo grabbed buckets, placing them under the drips. Then, with a crack like a gunshot, one of the shutters broke free. It slammed against the house, splintering wood. Boo rushed to the window, trying to pull the shutter back. The wind fought him, nearly ripping it from his hands. Let me help, Lena said, handing Rosita to the corner. Together they wrestled the shutter back into place. Bo nailed it down while Lena held it steady. The rain soaked them both, but they didn't stop. When it was done, they stumbled back inside, dripping wet and breathless. You didn't have to do that, Bo said. Yes, I did, Lena replied. They looked at each other, water streaming down their faces. And then, without thinking, Lena reached out and touched his cheek. Bo froze. His eyes searched hers. Thank you, she whispered. For everything? Bo covered her hand with his. You don't have to thank me. I want to. They stood there, hands touching, hearts beating in time with the storm outside. And in that moment something shifted, something deeper than gratitude, deeper than friendship, something neither of them was ready to name. But it was there. The storm passed by morning. The sky was clear, the air fresh and cool. Lena stepped outside and breathed deeply, feeling the weight lift from her chest. Bo came up beside her. You all right? Lena nodded. Better than all right. He smiled. It was a small smile, barely there, but it was real. And for the first time in years, Lena felt something she'd thought was lost forever. Joy. Rosita ran out of the house, splashing in the puddles left by the rain. Her laughter echoed across the plains, bright and pure. Lena and Bo watched her together, side by side. She's happy here, Lena said. So are you, Bo replied. Lena looked at him. Yes, I am. And as the sun rose over the horizon, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink, Lena knew one thing for certain. She was home. The trouble came on a Tuesday afternoon when the sun was high and merciless. Lena was in the garden pulling weeds from around the tomato plants. Rosita played nearby, singing softly to herself as she arranged pebbles in a circle. The air was still heavy with heat. Then Lena saw them. Dust on the horizon. Riders. 3 of them, moving fast. Her blood went cold. She knew that sight. She'd seen it before in Sonora, before everything went dark. Rosita, she said, her voice tight. Inside, now. The little girl looked up, confused. But Mama, now. Rosita scrambled to her feet and ran toward the house. Lena followed, her heart pounding. Bo, she called. He emerged from the barn, hammer in hand. When he saw the riders, his expression hardened. He dropped the hammer and grabbed the rifle, leaning against the barn door. Get inside, he said. Lock the door, don't open it for anyone but me. Lena's hands shook. Who are they? Don't know, but I'll find out. Lena grabbed Rosita and ran into the house. She bolted the door, then pulled Rosita close, pressing a finger to her lips. Through the window she watched the riders approach. They stopped at the fence line. 3 men, dusty and hard-looking. The one in front had a scar running from his eyebrow to his chin. You Ryland? The scarred man called out. Bo stood on the porch, rifle loose in his hands. Who's asking? Name's Doyle. I'm here on business. What kind? Doyle grinned. The kind that involves a woman you got no right to keep. Bo's jaw tightened. I paid for her. She's free. Not according to Mr. Mercado, Doyle said, pulling a folded paper from his coat. She's his property, and I'm here to collect. She's not property, Bo said. Not anymore. Doyle's grin faded. You interfering with legal business, old man? Get off my land. One of the other men spoke up. You gonna make us? Bo raised the rifle. If I have to. For a moment, no one moved. Then Doyle laughed, harsh and ugly. We'll be back, he said, with more men, and next time we won't ask nice. They turned their horses and rode off. Bo didn't lower the rifle until they were gone. Then he went inside. Lena was standing by the window, face pale. They'll come back, she whispered. Bo nodded. I know. With more men. I know. Lena looked at him. This is because of me. No, Bo said firmly. This is because some men think they can own people. That ain't on you. But you're in danger now. Bo set the rifle on the table. I've been in danger before. That night Bo worked by lantern light, reinforcing the doors and windows. He nailed boards across the shutters, checked his ammunition, cleaned his guns. Lena watched from the doorway. What can I do? Stay safe, Bo said. That's all I need. But Lena shook her head. No, I want to help. Bo looked at her for a long moment. Then he handed her a pistol. You know how to use this? Lena took the gun. My father taught me. Good. The next morning Bo rode into town. He needed supplies, maybe help. But the town offered neither. The sheriff was gone. The deputy didn't care, and most folks turned away when Bo mentioned Doyle's name. Only Mrs. Hale at the general store showed any sympathy. There's a few men who might stand with you, she said quietly. Old soldiers. They don't like slavers. Can you ask them? I'll try. When Bo returned to the ranch, Lena met him at the gate. Anything? Maybe, Bo said. We'll see. That night they barely slept. Bo sat by the window watching. Lena stayed with Rosita, who clung to her in the dark. Dawn came slowly, and with it dust on the horizon. Not 3 riders this time. 6. Bo stood, rifle in hand. They're here. Lena's face went white. She picked up the pistol. What do we do? You stay inside with Rosita. No matter what happens, you stay inside. Bo, promise me. Lena swallowed hard. I promise. Bo stepped onto the porch as the riders approached. Doyle was in front smiling. Last chance, Doyle called. Hand her over. Bo raised the rifle. No. Doyle shrugged. Your funeral. He nodded to his men. They drew their guns. Bo fired first. One man screamed and fell from his horse. The others scattered, taking cover. Gunfire erupted. Bullets hit the porch, the walls, the door. Bo ducked low, reloading. Inside, Lena crouched with Rosita, who was sobbing. Sha, Misha, stay quiet. A man rushed the porch. Bo met him with the rifle butt. The man went down hard. But another was right behind. He fired. The bullet caught Bo in the side. He gasped, stumbling. Lena saw it through the window, saw the blood. She didn't think. She threw open the door and fired the pistol. The man fell. Doyle's eyes went wide. You. Lena fired again, missed it, but it was enough. Doyle and his men retreated, mounting their horses. This ain't done, Doyle shouted as they rode away. Lena ran to Bo. He was on his knees, clutching his side. Bo! I'm all right, he gasped. You're bleeding. Help me inside. Together they stumbled through the door. Lena laid him on the bed. Her hands shook as she tore his shirt away. The wound was bad, but the bullet had gone through. Rosita, Lena called. Water, cloth, now. The little girl ran to help. Lena worked fast, cleaning and binding the wound. Bo gritted his teeth but didn't cry out. When she finished, her hands were red with his blood. You saved me, Bo said quietly. Lena looked at him, tears streaming. You saved us first. Bo reached for her hand. We're in this together. Lena nodded. Together. Outside, the sun climbed higher. The dust settled, and in the quiet of the house 2 wounded souls held on to each other. And to hope. 3 days passed before Bo could stand without help. Lena changed the bandages twice a day, her hands gentle but sure. Rosita stayed close, bringing Bo water, sitting beside his bed, holding his hand when the pain made him wince. You're a good nurse, Bo told her one morning. Rosita smiled shyly. Mama taught me. On the 4th day, riders appeared on the horizon, but these were different, only 2 of them, and they carried no guns in their hands. Bo struggled to sit up. Lena, I see them, she said, reaching for the rifle. But as the riders drew closer, Bo relaxed. Wait, I know one of them. It was Mrs. Hale's son, Tom, and another veteran with a beard down to his chest. They stopped at the fence and dismounted. Heard you had trouble, Tom called out. Bo came to the door, leaning on the frame. You could say that. We came to help. The bearded man spat tobacco. Slavers ain't welcome here. Not while we're breathing. Bo's throat tightened. I appreciate it. Don't thank us yet, Tom said. Doyle's got friends. He'll be back. Over the next few days, more men arrived. Lena cooked for them. The men were respectful, tipping their hats, thanking her. One evening, Tom approached Bo. We got word. Doyle's gathering men in town, planning something big. Bo nodded. When? Soon. Maybe tomorrow. That night, Bo sat with Lena on the porch. The stars were bright overhead. I'm sorry, Bo said quietly. Lena looked at him. For what? For dragging you into this. Lena shook her head. You didn't drag me, you saved me. Still, you and Rosita deserve better. Lena took his hand. We're exactly where we want to be. Bill looked at her. In the lamplight she was beautiful. Not just in her face but in her strength. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, Bo said. Neither do I, Lena replied. But we'll face it together. The attack came at dawn. Doyle rode in with a dozen men. This is your last chance, Ryland, Doyle shouted. Give us the woman or we burn you out. Bo stood on the porch, flanked by Tom and the others. Never. Doyle's angrily. Then you all die. The men attacked. Gunfire exploded. Bo fired, reloaded, fired again. Beside him, Tom and the others held the line. Inside, Lena crouched with Rosita, pistol in hand. Stay down, Misha. Outside, one of Doyle's men broke through. Bo met him head-on, slamming the rifle into his gut. Another man came from the side. Bo turned, but he was too slow. A shot rang out. The man fell. Tom stood there, smoking rifle in hand. You're welcome. The fight raged. One by one, Doyle's men fell or fled. Finally, only Doyle remained. He stood in the yard, gun drawn, face twisted with fury. This is all your fault, he screamed. You should have just given her up. Never, Bo said. Doyle raised his gun, but before he could fire, a shot cracked. Doyle staggered, blood bloomed across his chest. He collapsed. Behind him, the sheriff stood with a rifle. He'd arrived with a posse. You all right, Bo? The sheriff asked. Bo nodded. The sheriff looked around. Reckon you were in the right. Self-defense. What about her? Bo asked. Lena, will they come for her again? The sheriff shook his head. Not if I have anything to say about it. She's a free woman. That night, Bo sat with Lena and Rosita by the fire. It's over, he said. Lena nodded, tears streaming. It's really over. Rosita climbed into Bo's lap. Are you my papa now? Bo's throat tightened. He looked at Lena, who smiled. If you want me to be, Bo said. Rosita wrapped her arms around his neck. I want you to be. 2 weeks later, the ranch was quiet again. Life was returning to normal. Bo stood at the fence watching the sunrise. Lena came beside him, taking his hand. What are you thinking? She asked. I'm thinking I was wrong, Bo said. About what? I thought I was done living. Thought all I had left was surviving. Lena squeezed his hand. And now? Now I know the difference. That afternoon, Bo rode into town. When he returned, he carried a small wooden box. He found Lena in the garden. He knelt, opened the box and pulled out a simple silver ring. It was my mother's, he said. If you'll have me, I'd like to spend whatever time I have left making you happy. Lena's eyes filled with tears. Yes. Bo slipped the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. Rosita clapped her hands. Does this mean we're a real family now? Lena pulled her close. We've always been a real family, Mia. Now it's just official. The wedding was small, just neighbors, the sheriff, Mrs. Hale. They gathered under the cottonwood tree. When Bo kissed Lena, Rosita cheered. Afterward they had a simple meal. Laughter filled the air. As the sun set, Bo stood with Lena on the porch, watching Rosita chase fireflies. I never thought I'd have this again, Bo said. A family. Lena leaned against him. You gave that to us too. No, Bo said. Rosita did. She asked me to save you. She reminded me what it means to care. Lena smiled. Then we saved each other. Years passed. The ranch grew. Rosita grew strong and bright. One evening, when Rosita was older, she asked Bo about that day. Why did you do it? She asked. Why did you save us? Bo thought for a moment. Because you asked, and because I couldn't say no. But you didn't know us. No, Bo agreed, but I knew what it was like to lose everything. and I couldn't let that happen to you." Rosita hugged him tight. "I'm glad you said yes." "Me too," Bo said. That night as Bo lay beside Lena, he thought about the day at the market. The dust, the heat, the little hand on his coat. He'd gone looking for nails. Instead, he'd found a family. And in saving them, he'd saved himself. Outside, the wind whispered. The stars shone bright. And in the little house on the Texas plains, 3 hearts beat as one. Together. Finally home, and the end. If this story of survival, courage, and unexpected love touched your heart, don't forget to like and subscribe to Wild West Untold Love for more tales of redemption on the frontier. And if a moment or a feeling in this story stayed with you, we'd love to hear it in the comments below. Because sometimes the strongest souls are forged in the darkest places, and the greatest love stories begin with the simplest act of kindness.